All right, now that that's out the way, hey, all my single ladies, how y'all doing out there? And I hope everything looks good on my end. Production is actually in headquarters, and I'm on my Mac, but it has like a 1 or 2 second delay. So I'm sorry for, of course, my amateur production, but I hope you're really, really getting the knowledge out of this. So, all my single ladies, how did week number 2 go? All right, you know what? Let's do this. Let's recap and see how we got to where we are now. We started out with week number 1 of just mentally making the decision to buy a home. And that's so important because you have to make up in your mind that, hey, this is something that I'm going to do. I'm going to put my mind to it. It may take me 6 months. It may take me 3 months. It may take me a year. It might take me 2 years. But this is something I'm going to commit to. I'm going to get on my home journey. So that's what we did week number 1. Week number 2, we said, all right, now that we want a house, let's look at the house we currently have and get it in order. And what we were talking about was, of course, our financial house. And that is one of the most important components, not just for buying a home, but just for a high quality of life, period. So on week number 2, we looked at credit and assets. What's my credit score from all 3 bureaus? Because there's this myth that, I have to have a perfect credit score in order to buy a home. And it's simply not true. Now, I want that credit score to be as perfect as it can because you get the absolute best rates, but you really need a minimum of a 640 middle score. And remember, your middle score is from all 3 credit bureaus. They'll assign you a score, so you take the middle score. So if you have 600 from one, 650 from another, 700 from another bureau, your mid score is that 650. So we want at minimum a 640 or more. We really want you to shoot for the stars when it comes to your credit. Now, if you're about to buy a house, you have all your other, ducks in a row, and you're at like a 675, don't wait another year until you get to a 700 to buy a home. I would say get out there with that 675 that should still command a great interest rate and get into your home. So credit, financial house, assets. Or your financial house consists of your credit and your assets. And on assets, I wanted you guys to think not just of your cash in hand, but think about, your 401ks. Think about what you can get from family members as gifts. You have parents and friends sometimes that can help you buy a home as a gift to you. So I really wanted you guys to look at all your resources and know these things. And I actually wanted you to know these things before you ever even talk to a lender, preferably. I want you to know, what are my 3 scores that are being recorded from these credit bureaus? What's on my credit report? And really, what do I have on hand to invest into a home purchase? Because number 1, the lender will pull your credit, of course, but they're going to need to know what you have available to you as far as assets and cash, and how much money can you put into this transaction. And further down the road, we'll talk with a lender who can tell you about different programs that are out there that can help with closing costs and down payments if you qualify for those programs. So it's still very important for you to know, if you don't qualify for any programs, what you have available for your own home purchase. So now we're on week 3. And actually, week 3 is kind of like a part 2 to week 2. So we're going to stay in our financial house a little bit longer. That's how important this is. And let me mention again, as far as credit and knowing your credit score, and if you need some work being done on that, I put in the caption last week, Lexington Law, which I used to get some stuff off of my credit that was just old, and I didn't have time to write all those letters and any of that. I hired the professionals, and they got the job done. The best thing I can tell you when looking for a credit repair service is talk to people who have actually used a repair service that actually worked. Talk to them, see what their experience is. You can always message me or email me, and I'm glad to share what my experience was with my credit repair. So, because there are a lot of companies out there, and a lot of people are like, they're scams. No, not all of them. Of course, just like in any industry, you have some good ones and you have some bad ones. But you have some good ones out there, and they are worth their weight in gold to help you get your credit back on track. So this week, now that we know kind of what we have, I want to look at how we're living with what we have. So guess what? The B word is coming up. The ugly B word that people don't like, but it's actually a good word. Budget. Okay? What is your budget? Do you have a budget? Everybody should be operating out of a budget at some point in life, earlier than sooner. The earlier you learn to budget what's coming in versus what's going out, the better off your financial house will be. For me, I'm self-employed, so my budget is a totally different monster than if you receive W-2 income and get a set check for a set amount on this day, without any delay. That is an ideal situation to budget for. So, and that's mostly my clients. My clients are mostly W-2 employees that have, careers or jobs out there, and they get a set amount of money each month. They know exactly how much money they're going to make. And with that, you should be able to budget. Now, if you have never done a budget to see what I have coming in versus what I have going out, there are a ton of resources that can help you. Some people will hire a financial planner or consult with a financial planner, depending on, your assets and so forth. Or some people will just sit down with a notepad and do it, which works just fine. If you have a trusted family member that maybe is an accountant or good with numbers or just good with their own personal budget, you can always sit down with them and say, hey, I see what you're doing is working for you. Show me how to get there. Online. We are in the internet age. Online, there are countless free, F-R-E-E, countless organizations, and typically their websites end in .org, O-R-G. And I like .orgs because typically they're there to help and help for free and have volunteers. So you can go online and find basic budgeting and basic budgeting worksheets and templates, and you don't even have to reinvent the wheel. And I say go online because you can see a various amount of budgets that may match your lifestyle. Like I say, my budget as a self-employed person, it's going to be completely different than somebody else's budget and how I pay bills and so forth. So you want to find what works best for you and a budget that comes in a format that you can understand and stick to. So this week, let's stay in our financial house. And I keep looking down because I have to have my trusty notes here so that I don't forget anything. And you should be taking notes too. That's always a good thing, especially on this home journey. Taking notes about what you've learned, taking notes about what your next step is, just to keep you in line. Having a calendar showing kind of where you are in your process and what milestones that you've crossed. So when you see me looking down, that's probably what I'm looking at. But this week, we're going to stay in our financial house, because you know what? Before we talk to a lender, we need to know and be able to tell that lender, hey, this is how much I have per month that I can spend on my living expenses. So, because when you make your mortgage payment, more oftentimes than not, unless you have, some special financing set up, when you make your mortgage payment, it's going to include your property taxes, your insurance that covers your home, and then your principal and interest for your mortgage. You need to know how much you can comfortably afford, taking into account the other things that you have to budget for that month, such as your food, your gas, utilities, your savings, your emergency fund, which we all, especially us single gals, we have to have an emergency fund. When you have that one income, if something happens, that is coming out of that one income. There is nobody else for me to rely on except for the good Lord, but that's another video. Okay, that's another video. We need you to know monthly what you can really put out and put out comfortably. You've all heard the saying, I don't want to be house poor. Nobody wants to be house poor. You do not want to be living outside of your means, especially on your mortgage. The mortgage in your home symbolizes in so much, from stability to, it's something you don't want to lose. So okay, sorry, the computer just literally went dark, but I'm still recording. So like single women do, we push through. But we need to know, and you need to know, If that number is $1,500, if it's $2,000 a month, if it's $800 a month, we need to know, because guess what? That is how that lender can back into your sales price. That is how Mr. or Miss Lender can say, okay, if you can comfortably spend $2,000 a month on your mortgage, taking into account all the other bills and things that you have, you need to shop in XYZ price range to make sure your payment stays under $2,000. So that is why budget is so important, and why we're going to take some extra time in this week, a full week, to really look at what's coming in, what's going out, and where we can make some changes to save a little more, but definitely let's get a good working budget going this week. So that's what I have for us this week. I think it's very important. It's basically the second part of getting our financial house in order. So week 1, we've decided we're going to buy a house. Week 2, we're looking at our financial house, our credit, our assets, our cash on hand. And week 3, we're staying in that financial house. And we're seeing, okay, what we have coming in actively versus what we have going out, to determine how much monthly can I really afford to comfortably pay for a mortgage. Okay? So let's stay there as always. Information will be in the captions. If you have any questions, or if you want to set up a one-on-one, I'm more than happy to do that. I do that with all my buyers and of course sellers, but we're talking about buying. But buyer consults is something that is an intricate, or is it intricate? Sure, let's go with that. Intricate part of my business is connecting with my buyers one-on-one before we ever start looking for a home, to make sure that they're ready. So that's where we're going to be. We're going to stay at budget. Cleaning up our financial house, we need to know, how much house can I afford on a monthly basis? So inbox me, message me, comment below if you have any suggestions. We're all out here helping each other on this journey. So if you have suggestions, questions, comment below, message me. I'm just usually a call, click, or text away. All right? And it's, because I'm single. All right, guys. See you next week.